In this video I'm going to talk about why we feel disconnected and isolated from not only the world but from ourselves and basically from reality in general, and why we operate in this false illusion that we're just this independent ego and life is something that happens to us and the world is something that we're just forced to bear the burden of. It's something that's just weighing on our shoulders, and it's something that just is blind and stupid and really has nothing to do with us. So maybe from all of those things that I've just said, some resonance was struck, a common chord was struck, because these memes, these thought patterns, these beliefs are so ubiquitous in our culture and throughout the world in general, the modern world that is. So you might ask, why would we feel these feelings? Why would we feel disconnected, and why would we feel isolated? So what I'm going to do now is explain that in a very practical way, in a way that you can immediately understand and immediately see how and why this is happening. So it all starts with fragmentation of the mind and the psyche, because there's reality on one hand, there's the truth on one hand, and there's just falsehood and illusion on the other. And usually we're on the side of illusion and not on the side of truth and reality. So fragmentation would obviously be on the side of illusion, because if you go out and you open your eyes and you look at the world, everything is whole and everything is connected and everything is part of the same thing. But in our mind we have fragmentation, and it all starts with, mind, body, spirit. And then even within those three things, which most people believe, even within the mind, there's just fragmentation on top of fragmentation. So, we have the id, the ego, and the unconscious, and then we have the subconscious, then we have the superconscious, then we have, our thoughts, we have our feelings, we have our sensations, we have our intuition, we have our shadow, we have our, our persona. We have all of these different things just within the mind. But then, of course, in the body, we have the circulatory system, we have the digestive system, we have the lymphatic system, we have the heart, we have the lungs, we have all these organs, we have all these different cells, we have all these different things, more fragmentation. Yet, even within the spirit, we have, higher self, lower self, all of these, astral plane, subtle energy plane, psychic plane. We have our causal body, our thought body, our karmic body, our emotional body. All of these things just are more fragmentation, more disassociation, and more illusion, because if we open our eyes and we actually can shut off our minds for a minute and see what's really happening, we can see that, actually everything that's going on in here, in this body, is one and the same process. That if we start to change our thoughts a little bit, and we imagine that we're, jumping off a cliff or falling off a cliff, or let's say we have a bad dream and we die in our dream, we wake up and we're in a sweat and our heart's beating really fast, we can see that, maybe what I'm thinking, what's going on in here is influencing what's going on in the body, and vice versa. When we, exercise, or we swim, or we do something that's very calm and smooth and repetitive motion, we start to see, wow, that's really starting to affect my mind and my nervous system and the thoughts that I'm thinking. So we can see just in a very obvious, easy to understand way that everything is connected, and that all of this fragmentation is what's causing our, disassociation and isolation, because we're trapped in all of these different little compartments, which are completely made up and completely just symbolic, in the sense of that they're created just so we can communicate about things. Much in the same way, if I say over here is over here and over there across the room is over there, you might think, they're two separate places, when in reality they're in the same room, they're in the same house, they're in the same city, they're in the same state, ultimately they're on the same planet, they're in the same galaxy, they're in the same solar system, they're in the same universe, so it's ultimately the same place. And if you can understand that truth, you can probably just turn off this video and never watch another video again, because you'll see something very deep and very true about reality that will empower you and allow you to just cut through a lot of the crap and falsehood and illusion that is binding you up and gunking up all of your energy centers in your body. So if we're basing our worldview on all of this fragmentation and disassociation and just illusion, no wonder that we feel disconnected and isolated, because, we have one thought over here, well, that's my shadow, it's my ego, it's this part, it's this part. Then we have another thought over here, and we say, well, it's this part, and then it's this part, and we're just stuck always filing things away. So we don't ever actually experience anything. We're not actually a part of anything. We're not actually connected to anything, because we're always just pointing at little bits and pieces, or we're basically just pointing at gears in a big machine, which is how that inevitably makes us feel, because how we talk about things influences how our mind thinks and what we focus on and what we ultimately perceive as reality. And this happens so much because we say, oh, well, this part over here of myself is bad and no one can ever see it, no one can ever know about it, and I'm just going to bury it away. Oh, but this part over here, it's really good, it's awesome, and this is the only thing I'm going to let anyone ever show or anyone ever see. It's all I'm ever going to show, and it's all I'm ever going to focus on. So then we ultimately have these two parts of ourselves that are just going to be fighting each other, and then we have to take all of our psychic energy to maintain this false separation. And ultimately, it's one and the same thing, and we're just wasting our time, wasting our life energy, and causing all of this disillusion, disconnection, and isolation. So if our foundation is that weak and is based on that level of just crap, no wonder the slightest little stress and the slightest little nudge can just throw us off balance and make us feel terrible, make us feel stressed, make us feel defensive and angry and upset. So we ultimately have to examine all of these things and understand that what's going on in here and all of the ways that we're fragmenting and disassociating ourselves is what's causing all of the stuff around us, and is ultimately wasting a lot of our time and our energy and shortening our lifespan, harming our health, etc. So I know there's a lot in there in that video and what I've just said. So if you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk to you soon.